is by protecting discriminatory actions. Americans believe strongly in the freedom to express one's belief, but they also believe in accountability when these beliefs translate into discriminatory actions against others, even more so when these actions are enabled by the taxes paid by all Virginians, including Virginia's LGBT citizens. HB 773 allows discrimination for any for-profit corporation, not just the closely held and clearly religious businesses already protected by the Supreme Court's Hobby Lobby decision. A free market requires that businesses be open for business to all. Discrimination is a tax that Virginia just can't afford. Additionally, this bill effectively prohibits municipalities or the state from taking action to protect LGBT citizens from discrimination. This is an offense to the principle of small government and local control. By targeting lawfully married same-sex couples for less protection from discrimination, House Bill 773 singles out LGBT Americans in a way that the courts may determine violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. At the same time, singling out one side of an issue where reasonable people can disagree, and giving that viewpoint special government endorsement and protection raises the possibility that this bill also violates the First Amendment. Virginia does not have any form of statewide non-discrimination law in employment, public accommodations, or housing. So there's little legal danger or consequences of this being an issue. And we believe that this bill does in fact provide a license to discriminate against the LGBT community. Therefore, I urge you to vote down HB 773. However, I do look forward to continuing to work with Chairman Gilbert to find common ground on this legislation and other bills that come forward to this committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for hearing our testimony. My name is Richard Santa. I am representing the Jewish Community Relations Council of Northern Virginia and of Newport News and various individuals from the other Jewish communities throughout Virginia. The Jewish community is opposed to House Bill 773. The Jewish community deeply values the freedom of religion provided by the First Amendment. I would point out that there is no constitutional right to a moral conviction or a constitutional right to conscience. The First Amendment is very specific. The language was actually considered more broadly when the founders were looking at it, and they went with what they went with, which is religion, exercise, and establishment. Exercise has never meant freedom to do whatever you want to do. Reynolds versus the United States was the case in 1876 that said that the Mormons in the territories would not be allowed to continue to have plural marriage. In 1996, we had the Restoration of Religious Freedom Act, which covers every single issue that has been raised by the opponents to this matter, to this bill. And Virginia has its own version of RFRA, part of which is cited for its definition section at 57-2.02, which is where the definitions come from. It already exists, it's redundant, it's unnecessary, and it's discriminatory. I would close with, I'll close with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Different points, and I'll keep it short.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. Delegates and representatives, thank you so much for allowing me to speak today. My name is Brad Cutner. I'm the editor of Gay RVA, an LGBTQ news and arts publication based here in Richmond, Virginia. Taking off my journalist hat to speak with you as a lifelong Virginia citizen and an openly gay man. My job puts me in a unique position to have exhaustive research about the issues this bill is dealing with, and I thought it was time I spoke up and said something. On February 12, 2013, almost 3 years ago to the day, I sat in a similar committee hearing where SB 701, a bill which passed the Senate, aimed to provide protections for LGBTQ state employees. Excuse me. There has not been a single example of someone who has been discriminated against in public appointment, other than the abstract fears we've heard testified against today. This was said by Delegate Todd Gilbert, author of the bill that you're hearing to vote on today. He was the only committee member to speak out against SB 701. Chris Freund of the Family Foundation echoed Gilbert's concerns, saying, "We usually pass laws when problems need to be solved. There hasn't been a problem with discrimination in Virginia." So I'm here to ask you today, if I could address the delegate again, and I'd ask him, where is the problem? I asked Delegate Gilbert if he had any examples of discrimination against religious people here in Virginia the other day, and he failed to provide me anything but rather than abstract figures. While I'm here today to give you some examples on the other side, LGBTQ folks who have been targeted because of who they love. John Murphy, 64, moved to Richmond to work at a local adult care facility, St. Francis Home. He was fired 2 days after getting hired because he was in a same-sex relationship. His duties had nothing to do with faith-based services and everything to do with administrative work for caring for sick people. The board members at St. Francis were so disgusted by their church's need to fire Murphy, they refused to take action, and clergy from the archdiocese themselves had to go to Murphy's house to tell him he was fired because he was married to a man. Murphy is currently pursuing legal action through the EEOC and hopes to find justice there because there is no law protecting him in the state. CT, a Chesterfield resident who is in his 20s and has to remain nameless because he continues to fear for his safety, was brutally beaten last May because he was gay. The man who hit him, a fellow Amazon shipping employee, said, "I hit him because he was gay." He said he told this to the Chesterfield police, who then sought federal hate crime charges because Virginia does not include sexual orientation in their list of hate crime protections. It took 8 months for federal charges to be brought against the attacker. 8 months with the attacker on the street and the victim fearing for his safety. A 2015 study of housing discrimination against same-sex couples in Virginia aimed to find out that there was discrimination in housing here in the Commonwealth. They sent out emails to be pretending to be a straight couple and another set pretending to be a same-sex couple. Sure enough, they found 45% of female couples experienced negative responses and 50% of male couples experienced negative responses. Finally, Gavin Grimm, a transgender 16-year-old boy, was using the boys' restroom just fine until concerned parents stepped in, and now the kid has to use a converted broom closet when he pees. Some of you met Andrew Wilson the other day. He's been lucky to have a supportive educators and administration, and he continues to use the male facility without issue. These are not abstract concepts that Delegate Gilbert was talking about 3 years ago. And I hope he realizes that these are the stories that can be told because the people involved were fortunate enough to be out and open about themselves. There are many more cases, kids flipping burgers, adults cleaning bowling shoes who have to lie about their significant others, who face discrimination but are too afraid to lose their jobs or their homes to speak up. But beyond Virginia's LGBTQ population, the rest of Virginia doesn't agree with this law. A Christopher Newport study released today said 57% of the Commonwealth opposes this kind of legislation. Meanwhile, after Indiana tried to pass a similar law last year, the state's tourism commission estimated that Hoosier State lost more than $60 million in funding, in convention funding because of their religious freedom bill. $60 million in Indiana, which has no beaches, no Blue Ridge Mountains, and no James River. Finally, I plead with you as a gay man and a lifelong Virginian, realize the message you send with a vote of support for this bill. You're telling LGBTQ Virginians and citizens around the country that they are not welcome here. Their money is no good, their taxes are no good, and their equal treatment is not a priority. All because of who they love. All right, thanks guys.
Members of the committee, I'm James Parrish with Equality Virginia. HB 773 doubles down on discrimination.